Hi, y'all. Gabelen here, Savage Yogi Essential Oils, with my absolutely stunning and dynamic cross-line lover, Crystal Dawn Froberg. Hi, Crystal.
Hi, darling. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for hopping on with me. We're talking about something today that I'm super, super excited about. That in the past couple months has come up as like a need, and I think it's a fairly global need. So if this can help some of our cross-line team, awesome. So why don't you tell the nice folks at home exactly what the event is that you were hired for?
So I was hired by the local district in my area for something that they have. I think it's once or twice a year. It's called Ed Camp or Educational Camp. They close the school and it's an entire day for the teachers to learn. There's all kinds of different facilitators that come through. So I was specifically hired to teach self-care and essential oils for teachers and how to use them for themselves, and then potentially in the classroom, which I think is just like one of the biggest debates right now.
Yes.
Around essential oils and kids and classes and all of that.
Huge debate. That's amazing. Congrats on that on that project. That's so incredible and such a pertinent area of like essential oil study right now. So it works out really well. You reached out to me because I've done a few of these workshops. I will start by saying there's a few things that would affect the way I would approach the workshop. So the first one is obviously time. The time period that you have is half an hour for the self-care and EOs for teachers. I had an hour and a half, and I didn't have a yoga practice, so it was strictly EOs. The other thing that I think is important is that the teachers who came to my workshop, yes, wanted oils for themselves, but the specific question was about how to bring oils into the classroom. Whereas my feeling for your event, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that it sounds to me like this would be a really nice door of entry towards personal use, and then a platform for developing the question of how to bring oils into the classroom.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, amazing. So I'm going to tell you what my approach was, and then you can ask me if there's anything that isn't clear. When I sent out the first, my first invite for the Essential Oils for Teachers event, I made it globally accessible. So I said it was Essential Oils for, Intro to Essential Oils for Teachers. And then in the description that it was open to anyone who needed to enhance their self-care practices or that had kids in their lives. And some of the people who came were already clients of mine and brought in friends of theirs that they thought would really enjoy the oils. Some of them were people who showed up and I have no idea where the hell they came from. And I was like, this is epic, new people. I will say I did an EO 101. So as much as I think our like tendency sometimes in special events is to go very, very specific, I think any opportunity to do, even if it's a mini EO 101, I always do that because it's the foundation upon which you're going to build the conversation with them. So my EO 101 always includes, the very first thing is why doTERRA. I put that on the table immediately, because specifically what I don't want happening is people coming out of an excellent workshop. Like I know for a fact your workshops are probably epic. They're going to get out of that afternoon. And if they're not enrolling, they're going to buy oils elsewhere. So do your why doTERRA immediately. I went over usage, safety, like those kinds of things, but very minimally, because I have a new approach with intro to oils in that I will talk globally about the different oils and what ones I think would be great for each person, but I don't go into in-depth education because there's no point in spending time on in-depth education if people don't have the oils in hand. The information doesn't anchor. So that's kind of like a few of the guidelines that I have for how I start. I then choose, before going in, the oils I want to focus on. So I'll give you an example. For the first group, 3 out of the 13 participants were already clients, so I knew they had the oils at home, and the other ones were either newbies or were people who had received oils as gifts but didn't know much. I wanted to choose oils that, oh yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to say. Sorry, je me devance a little bit. I think what is key is that the teachers have to start using them themselves in their home daily before they try and bring them into the classroom. So I'll give you an example. I had a woman who was there who was super enthusiastic, who was coming up with all these ideas for the classroom. She full of really great intentions, but was going into really very specific questions about projects that she could develop in the classroom, and does not have oils and doesn't use them at home. So I think that becomes a little bit a recipe of disaster, because if you yourself don't understand oil use, oil safety, if it's not something that you are practicing at home, then you cannot create a safe space for your students to experience the oils. So that's one thing I will say, that with my teachers and social workers that are wanting to use oils, I'm pretty adamant about the fact that they need to enroll and use the oils at home before going forward with in-class projects. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sorry, I wanted to mute myself before.
Oh, perfect. No, that's great. I just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. It's as if, like you said, I like the idea of introducing it as this EOS 101 in a way where it's the foundation, it's the basics of this is how it is. Because a lot of people that even might have oils, unless they're already a part of the team, which I think there's a few people in the school that are, they don't really know, you know? So to have that foundation and the basics would be incredible for them.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, sorry, that was a side note. I will tell you the oils that I chose to kind of focus on. Because the participants of my first workshop were social workers and teachers of all different ages, because I opened it to the community at large. I think yours are specifically elementary school teachers, were you saying?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. So I went real simple because I'm a huge fan of simple. We talked about lavender. We talked about peppermint. We talked about lemon, which also, just from a wellness advocate, preparatory point of view, what's really nice is the little intro trio kit. And we can talk about that after, but just that's a very nice tool for us as kind of a segue into enrollment. If people aren't quite ready to enroll with the kit yet, well, they can purchase that from us retail and have that nice intro. We also spoke about wild orange and On Guard. Those were kind of the 5 I really stuck to. I mean, there were lots of questions about other oils, of course. My approach and my coaching was really centered on simplicity, was centered on avoiding overwhelm in terms of education, and also simplicity of communication for the parents. Because it was very clear that a lot of my participants, yes, wanted to use them at home, but they really did have, a few of them had already spoken to their principal about bringing oils into the classroom. And so that brings me to my next point. I think in your situation, what will probably make the most sense is to focus on EOS for self-care and personal usage, and then possibly try and segue into a second workshop that could be EOS for the classroom. And one of the things that I always find interesting, this is something that I was implementing last year that I found really effective, was you do the EOs for self-care for teachers as a regular workshop that different teachers can come to. But the EOs for the classroom workshop, you have to have done the EOs for self-care first. You know what I mean? Which is a little bit, it's funny because when I first pitched the idea, was kind of speaking to some of my team about it. They were like, yeah, well, you're going to lose people who, which is fine. I would rather lose someone in terms of workshop enrollment than have someone come in and not have like a safe, you know, it's all about setting safe boundaries and creating a precedent for really grounded education before bringing them into the classroom. Because anytime you're bringing, you know, a new practice, a new product, something into a classroom where there are parents who are not there and their child is being exposed to something they're not familiar with, there is going to immediately be kind of like oh shit, what's this? And anyone who is an avid oil user and who knows the benefits and knows how safe they are compared to what the kids are usually exposed to, which is like chemical cleaning products and all this other shit, we can dissipate that fear with education, but you can't do that unless you are practicing it yourself. Yes. Do you have questions?
No, I think that's amazing. And those are all the oils that I made samples for everybody with, those exact oils.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't make the peppermint, but that was going to be one that I used, but I did lavender, lemon, wild orange, and on guard. Like, that's
brilliant. Brilliant. What was the other one you mentioned?
I just did lavender, wild orange, lemon, on guard. I didn't put the peppermint in because I didn't have enough. I can't believe I don't have an extra peppermint hanging around today. So I was like, what's up with that? But I'm gonna let them sample that. Yeah, no, that's amazing. And you gave me an idea as you were talking, as a segue into after the self-care and the EOS 101, you know, asking, you know, what are the three main, you know, behavioral or emotional issues in your classroom? I want to ask some questions. And then I can say, one, these are the reasons they're safe for children. And I love what you said here. And they're safe compared to the cleaners and the paint and the fabric, whatever's going on in those schools, whatever's coming through the vents, you know, how these are safe compared to that, and then diffuse it with education on why essential oils are good for kids, right? And even give, I'm thinking like the ratio of 1 drop to a tablespoon or something of that nature, but then ask the questions to say, well, this works for that. Not to offer it to the kids just yet, but to just say, maybe even bring in a little bit of a study, you know, this is proven to work on anxiety, this is proven to work on focus, this is proven to work on, you know, overexcitement, right?
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned that. You're so intuitive, Crystal. Like I wish I could come to your workshop, but you know, there's a few things that came up. You know, I'll give you an example. I was saying, you know, for use in the classroom, I said, okay, let's brainstorm a couple very simple ideas to bring oils into the classroom without it being formalized, without it being some big scary thing. I said, On Guard Cleaner Concentrate is incredible, non-toxic, economical, it's better for the environment. And I said, you can make reusable at-home wipes for surfaces with old rags, On Guard Cleaner Concentrate, and water. And the question that came up was, oh my gosh, we'll expose the kids to these On Guard. Is that safe? And I said, well, how are you getting the kids to clean their desks off right now? And you know what they're using? Throwaway Lysol wipes that the kids are taking with their hands. Can you imagine?
So they're actually touching the Lysol. They're not even spraying it, which is all bad. But to spray it with a clean paper towel, then you're not really actually making contact, maybe aromatically. But if you're making contact with the skin, that's even worse.
They're taking them out of the bottle and they're wiping down their desk and then throwing them in the garbage. You know? So it's just, I think here's what it comes down to. Because I think one of the things that I'm, you know, I'm getting more self-aware, and I'm realizing that one of the challenges I have is that I have to not be preachy. Sometimes I can get a little preachy, and I try and really scale that back, because I realize it's not a them and us kind of thing.
No.
That being said, what I'm recognizing more and more, and what I'm trying to learn and relearn every time I'm speaking to someone who doesn't know about oils, is that we have spent our entire lives trusting things that you can buy in the store, trusting things that you can buy in the pharmacy blindly, because that's how we did it, you know? So I think, especially when it comes to teachers, they are in the line of fire because they are taking care of our kids every single day. They have an enormous amount of responsibility. And when they try and think outside of the box, they're getting kickback constantly. I did also speak about 3 categories for personal use, but also in the classroom that's interesting, is with the wild orange and the lemon citrus, mood boosting for afternoons with the kids. Peppermint aromatically for very concentrated, mindful tasks, math, tests, you know, any sort of situation that is maybe a little bit more cerebral. And then the lavender for calming, you know, before nap time, before any sort of, you know, when they come in from recess and they need to get focused and centered, lavender and peppermint. And one of the things that we did come up with that, so there were 2 things that I wanted to mention on the call, even though, you know, I think, again, this comes down to preparation for later on when they do want to integrate them. A safety measure in terms of protecting the school institution and the teacher is a note that goes to the parents explaining the project. It is not a permission form. And here's the distinction. If you are sending a permission slip, you are giving people the opportunity to say no. When you are presenting the project in a proactive and positive way, if there are legitimate health concerns, then you will get feedback, even if you haven't asked for a yes or no in the communique that goes out. So I think there's something very important about, again, it comes down to, as a teacher, if you are using the oils and doing your own oil education, you are going to feel more confident presenting the project to parents. The other thing that I did was I had a verbal agreement with my teachers that when they were presenting this project, if over top of them, the parents needed more information or needed to have a little bit more structure about the project, that I was available to do either one-on-one calls or group presentations to the parents as an aromatherapy consultant, and that I was going to be there with them during the development of the project.
Amazing. That's great.
Yeah, because I think, you know what, it's all about community. It's all about, listen, we're trying something new. Let's figure it out together. And it's not me going in and like, oh, I'm the expert. It's me going in and saying, listen, this is a field of study that I'm developing. These are the things I found. What are your concerns, and how can we get around them together? You know, involve the parents. Don't say we're doing this project, it has nothing to do with you. Get them involved, get them excited about it as well. And the other thing I did want to mention, which made the difference for one of my teachers versus the other one in her classroom, she developed an actual biology unit on what are essential oils and what is the steam distillation process. So she actually presented that to her students. What are essential oils? How do you get them? How do they source their, and she did it very globally. It wasn't a doTERRA based thing. It was very much like actually just learning about this chemical compound, which is plant
Okay.
essences.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And so because it was a learning unit, there's no arguments against it. You know, it
Right.
becomes part of kind of their group of learning. And then the last thing I will say, which I think is also a very important piece of the puzzle, is that if the teachers are modeling self-care and empowered health, then they are going to communicate that to their students. So I think it goes above and beyond just the idea of wanting to bring nice smells into the classroom. It's the idea that we're trying to communicate to our students that from a very young age, they are able to make better health, nutrition, and lifestyle decisions. And that, you know, they can be proactive.
Beautiful.
And it's not a matter of just preaching it. In order for it to be effective in the classroom, the teachers themselves need to model that behavior. You know, kids don't respond to being told what to do. They respond to what they see their adult entourage modeling. I think that's the other reason why it's so important for me when teachers want to develop an essential oil practice in their classroom, that I really do kind of stick on the point that I really want them working on their oil education and their at-home oil use before they even start developing for the classroom.
That's great. Yes. So much to write down. It's amazing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm speaking very quickly, but I am
No, it's good. No.
I'm recording, so
Perfect.
you'll be able to watch this video anytime you miss me.
Okay, good. Amazing.
Were there any other things that you were thinking of including in your workshop that you had questions about, or anything else that maybe I didn't cover?
A question about adding in, because I don't want to walk in there assuming that I know everything about children. I don't have my own yet, and I'm not a teacher. I don't even teach kids yoga, so I don't want to walk in there assuming that I know things I don't know. So I want to stick with what I do know really well. But I would also love to throw in like a really profound statistic or two, or even a little bit of a study or two on the issues that children have in learning anyway. There's a few that I already know, right? Yeah. They already know these things, right? So it's almost just like, here's what we have, you know, as adults and children. And then here's some studies that show these 2 or 3 things that work for ADD, or, you know, lavender is the easiest thing to talk about, right? So is there anything that you've added, or would you suggest adding anything of that nature, just to, you know, I guess we call it like a hook, right? To just get people's attention and say, okay, yeah, right?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I'm going to give you an answer that may be uncomfortable.
Okay. I like that.
I think there's room for science and statistics. Mm-hmm. I think that as aromatherapy consultants, we lean on those crutches when we are feeling slightly out of our comfort zone. Mm-hmm. I would like to challenge what you said about not understanding children or knowing them because you don't have that much access to them, because you were a child once.
True.
So who better than you to have the experience? I think that story and transparency are a million times more effective and poignant than statistics and studies. I will say though, I think it's a good idea to have some with you. I had some with me. I printed out a study about anxiety and lavender in kids with ADD. I mean, I did it because I think they're good tools to have in your arsenal for the people who undoubtedly might bring it up. You bring them with you, but that is not what you base your experience on. Who better than you to speak about self-care? No one. I say lead from your intuition, lead from the heart, and you can be transparent in saying, I don't have my own children, I don't work closely with children, but I have 16 years of experience as a child, and I have a child in me that I try and nourish and feed every day.
Love you. See, that felt so much more natural and comfortable and warm, and I could really picture myself standing up there with some confidence about doing this, you know, because it is new for me. You know, I'm very used to either teaching friends of friends and family and friends of family, or in yoga community.
Yes, but that is your strength, Crystal. You don't need to go on the internet and Google search some fucking science journal shit. You don't need that.
I know what fucking works.
Right. But you can, you know what? And I would say even you can do that. Go get that information. Yes. And then if you get there and try and present that, you will stumble on your words because it won't be authentic communication. It will be a hustle.
Mm-hmm. Got it. But have it to back me up, because
I would have it. You know what I did actually? I printed out some of them. Mm-hmm. And I put them out on the table, and I can actually send you pictures of what my table setup was.
Okay, great.
Because when my teachers arrived, I had wild orange banana bread that I had made, and I had peppermint water. So they had peppermint water, wild orange banana bread. They were kind of getting set up. They were chatting. And then I was like, if you're interested, there are some articles on the table that you can look through. You'll have time after during the question period to look through them as well. A few science articles, but that's not what I want to touch on in our short time together today. I want to touch on how essential oils can really help boost your self-care practice as a teacher.
Bingo.
You're so sweet.
Thank you. This is like clearing up so many different things for me, not just this, of course, which is always what happens on these Dr. calls. It's like we're going for one thing and then we come out with another that's even more, you know, that's got more oomph and, you know, what is it? Gumption.
Yes. Oh, I love the word gumption. I love that. I can't believe you use that. I thought I was the only person who used that. I also really like swell.
Swell.
Yeah. Like, oh, that was swell.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Yeah, it's good, eh?
It sounds like from the 50s. I like it.
Yeah, it's old school.
Are we the same age? I forget.
I'm turning 34 tomorrow.
Oh, I'm older than you. Happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, that feels good to me if you don't have any other questions.
No, that's
good. I would say, this is the thing I'm trying to relearn every day. I think I write it about 3 times a week in my journal, and I just look in the mirror. Trust your spirit. You know, there is a time and a place for numbers and statistics and science. It is not when you're trying to reach and connect to people. People understand story and authenticity, and they will attach to you 1,000 times more if you say, you know what, I stand in front of you imperfect, but really ready to learn about this with you, than if you stand there and say, I have a folder with 57 statistics.
No, and that wasn't the plan, but I know that.
No, of course not.
You know, if I get into fear, then it's like, I don't want to go in there, you know, scared. I mean, I'll be a little bit scared, but also why? I can let that go and just do what I do. I stand in front of people and share with them, you know, 5 days out of 7 a week for the last like 10 years. So it's nothing that I don't know. So thank you for reminding me.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time with me. And you know, one thing I will say about fear, because It's something that I've learned in my short 34 blessed years. Fear is the birthplace of courage, you know? I think we have this kind of, this like fancy thing that you hear sometimes is like, be fearless, be without fear. No. I don't believe that at all. I think fear is a spectacular mechanism for our spirit to alert us when we're stepping outside of our comfort zone, but it is also the birthplace of us being able to say, thank you, I hear you, I know you're scared, let's do it anyway. You know?
I needed to hear that more than anything. That's all I needed to hear. Actually.
So we'll just delete the rest of the recording.
We'll just do that.
And just that last section is perfect.
It's perfect.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy we recorded this. I think I'm gonna share it because I think it could be helpful for some of our team.
I think that one of the most important things is that we feel the fear and thank you, I hear you, I see you, I feel you, but I'm going to do this anyway, and just start walking into these different businesses and schools, hand some samples, set up a meeting. That's it. What else are we doing? That's just what we need to be doing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was trying to come up with my catchphrase for my 34th year. And I wrote this morning in my journal, and it's, I'm scared as hell, let's dance anyway, you know? I'm scared as hell, let's dance anyway.
Let's dance anyway.
Yeah.
You're the best.
I'm going to stop recording, and then we can say bye in the privacy of our Zoom call. Thanks, everyone. If you guys have any questions or you want to hear more feedback about this, just message us, because I love chatting about this, and I'm sure Crystal will have some feedback to us after her workshop. Bye, y'all.
Bye.